Observe these roots. These are the roots of grass, and this is the root of a radish plant. Look how dissimilar they are. The grass has short roots which originate in a bunch from the base of the stem and spread laterally. The radish plant, on the other hand, has one long central root. Small lateral branches arise from the central root, which is called a primary root. The roots of grass are called fibrous roots. Don't they look like fibers? The roots of radish form a taproot system. There are two types of roots in plants, fibrous roots and taproots. Carrots are a type of root. Can you say which kind?
When you look out over a forest in Utah, whether from an airplane or hiking around, you might not realize that there's a library of information in those trees. Each tree is recording information about the environment that it's growing in. And then we follow that up by measuring the rings to 1,000th of a millimeter, so it's very detailed work. When we have droughts, the rings are very narrow, and the more extreme, the narrower the ring. As we're trying to identify patterns in wide and narrow rings, you can kind of think of that as a barcode in the food that you might buy in the store. Trees in an area are going to have not exactly the same pattern, but a similar pattern of wide and narrow rings, just like that barcode. We get to the point where we can just look across a sample and say, okay, there's 1580 and there's 1735. We know where those difficult years are. In some areas, under the best conditions with the best species, we can have up to a 10,000 year record from tree rings. We have maybe 50 to 100 years of historical records for the rivers around here, but we have trees that can go back several hundred years. Sometimes, as we look in the tree rings, we see droughts that are much longer or much more severe than anything we've seen in the historical record. We've had droughts that have lasted for more than a decade. We had one that lasted for 16 years. Water managers can actually incorporate those into forecast models to help us better prepare for droughts in the future. We're excited to be able to take the information and give that to water managers now because they haven't had that for the Wasatch Front before.